We got some major NBA news to discuss on today's show as looks like the league is finally trying to combat tanking. Shams Charania reporting that Adam Silver informed the league's 30 general managers on Thursday that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next season, and stakeholders have intensified dialogue about combating tanking. So talks are going to go on this summer. There may be new rules in place as early as next season. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, a couple of ideas have already been thrown out there via Shams Charania, and there are some wild ones that people around the NBA are going to discuss. Now, I'll tell you what, the Celtics aren't necessarily a tanking team, so they're not going to have to worry about a lot of these things hurting them and their losing processes. That's not how the Celtics really operate. But I will say, anything that discourages tanking across the NBA is going to benefit the Boston Celtics because, look, if teams got to go out there and try week in and week out and not have to go after these loopholes, then, well, other teams aren't going to get these easy wins that are stacking up close to the Boston Celtics in the standings. So we'll break down a lot of these rules in just a moment. Let's get right into today's edition of Celtics Today by Chat Sports. What's going on, Screen Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith, and let's break down these rules that the NBA is going over in terms of combating tanking. A couple proposals, as many as 7 have already been thrown out there as things that are going to be discussed this summer between general managers, front office leaders, and the NBA front office in general. So we're going to break them down and see where there might be some loopholes because, spoiler alert, it's not going to be too easy to truly get rid of tanking. Before we dive into them, though, the guys over at the Heat Report, the Heat Report, the ones that are in the play-in right now, they challenge us to a sub-battle for just the day. So it's essentially who can get more subscribers on their video today. Hopefully, I give you guys a good enough show to where you'll want to subscribe. But if that's not enough for you and you just want to go out there and beat the Heat, well, hit that subscribe button. Because when you do, you get free Celtics content on your YouTube feed all the time. All right, so the first idea that the NBA's got to combat tanking. First-round picks can only be protected top 4 or top 14 plus, so essentially lottery protected if they are to be traded. This one has kind of only come up because of the very specific protections that the Indiana Pacers have placed on their draft pick. As a matter of fact, when they acquired Ivica Zubac from the Los Angeles Clippers, they did trade away with their first-round pick for this upcoming draft. However, it's got heavy protections on it on both sides of the equation. The only way that this first-round pick ends up going to the Los Angeles Clippers is if it ends up picks like 5, 6, 7. I think it might just be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 or something like that. And then the top 4 will go back to Indiana, and anything after that will fall back to the Pacers as well. It might just only be 5 through 7, as a matter of fact. So the NBA is trying to get rid of that. But at the end of the day, like, how much does that change things? Like, I don't know. I just don't see that changing much in terms of the tanking operation. Teams are just going to protect top 4 and still acquire the assets that they want. And then they'll just probably tank harder to like almost guarantee themselves as good of a shot to the top 4 as they possibly could have. Idea number 2, lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. I'll tell you right now, as out of all 7 ideas that have been thrown out there to this point, this one is near the top in terms of it could work and it could actually combat tanking in some way. However, if we're going to be looking at this from a pessimistic point of view, because that's how NBA teams will look at it. Teams will always look to find the loophole, and the loophole is here. Teams are just going to tank earlier and harder into the season. You think the Brooklyn Nets coming into 2025, 2026 thought they'd be contending in the Eastern Conference even for a play-in spot? Absolutely not. They knew they'd be near the bottom of the standings to start the season. They still weren't good enough. Like, they will just fully commit to the tank from day one, whether they were going to win those games or not. Like, they're just going to fully commit to tanking way earlier on in the season. It could work. I don't hate this idea, but you open yourself up to a lot more dangerous tanking coming in October, November, December when you're trying to get people's eyeballs on the product. Idea number 3, no team can pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. Okay, this has nothing to do with tanking, though, because consecutive bottom 3 finishes, what if you're just ass? Like, what if you genuinely are not tanking and the team is that bad and you finish bottom 3 back-to-back seasons? You're telling me you just can't pick in the top 3 anymore after that? Top 4 anymore? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And in terms of picking top 4 in consecutive years, like, this could get messy, man. Like, what if, we're just going to keep using the Nets as an example because they're going to be down there forever. Say the Nets finished in the bottom 3, and then they finished, I don't know, 11th in terms of the lottery. But that year that they finished 11th, the lottery balls fall their way, and they get into the top 3 a year after they already picked in the top 3. It's literally a lottery. You're getting rid of the lottery aspect of it if you're not allowing teams in back-to-back seasons to be picking in the top 3. It just doesn't make any sense there. Again, this would help the tanking situation, but it doesn't really make sense if you're going to keep the lottery as the institution in place to determine the draft order. Idea number 4. Teams cannot pick top 4 the year after making a conference finals. This is something that doesn't really happen too often. Let's be honest here, guys. However, it would affect the Indiana Pacers in this case. Like, there are a couple different circumstances where this could severely hurt a team. Tyrese Halliburton goes down with a torn Achilles. The Pacers are not in a good spot to be contending, and they started out the season by not being very good, and then they just kind of committed to the tank. They lost Miles Turner in free agency too, so they're kind of going through a little bit of a soft reset. Then they could go through another team where, maybe they have an aging core. Say the Clippers kept Paul George and they kept this aging group with Zubats and all that stuff, and they made the conference finals, fell short, and they were like, you know what, this is as good as it was going to get. Let's just hard reset, trade everybody. You tell me they can't pick top 3 the next year after they're just complete ass and trade everybody away? Like, you can't make these rules black and white. Part of me thinks it's going to have to come down to somebody's discretion as far as who's tanking and who is not. So, yes, this really happens, but, like, what if it's a hard reset? And also, like, wouldn't this take away, a team like the Miami Heat from beating it, from being in the, from being in the play-in and then the NBA Finals, the conference finals? Like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Idea number 5. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Who's making this stuff up? Who's writing this? It can't be educated people, because teams are just going to tank longer. They're just going to tank for 2 years. You want there to be, like, you want the Nets, the Kings, the Jazz, the Pelicans, you want the Wizards to never sell tickets because they're going to be committing to a 2-year tank? That won't bode well whatsoever. Now, you know what? Let's not limit the tanking. Let's not limit it. No. Let's encourage it. Let's do more tanking. More tanking. That's what 2-year records would do for teams in terms of trying to position themselves for lottery, especially when you consider, like, maybe some drafts, like, are stronger than others. Teams will look 2 years ahead to this draft specifically. Teams would have been tanking back in 2024 for Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanza, Cam Boozer, some of these top-heavy drafts. Makes absolutely no sense. Teams are always going to find the loophole. How would you fix it? Do you have any propositions? Let me know in the comment section. Get creative. How would you fix tanking across the NBA? Comment down below what you guys think. Idea number 6. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. So the Miami Heat could have picked top 3 after making the NBA Finals? Right after making the NBA Finals? How does that make sense at all? Like, again, another situation that rarely ever happens, but it could, and you open yourself up to that possibility, and you having to rewrite the rules, a couple years later if it ended up going down. So I don't know why that rule is a thing. Teams would also just, what if they're the, like, you're just going to tank into those spots no matter what. Like, I don't know, guys. It's not going to be easy whatsoever. We'll go through one more idea and then my 3 ways to go out there and combat tanking in just a moment. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor on the show. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk every dime and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks at PrizePicks, where all you guys got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. Whether it's basketball, hockey, you got baseball coming up very soon, you can mix and match all these different sports and stat types and win up to 2,000 times your money in one single lineup. And take it from me, I've been a customer longer than they've even been a sponsor here at Chat Sports. I use PrizePicks religiously because it makes watching your teams and your games that much more fun. And they always have awesome features that they offer up as well, like a max discount where they'll slash the stat projection by 99% and give you basically a free square. Also, they'll do flash deals just randomly where they just discount stats by a little bit or like half or something like that. Or Taco Tuesday. Every Tuesday they discount stat projections. What about early payouts where if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you can cash out those winnings before the games even finish. There's so many features. It's super aesthetically pleasing and easy to use. So download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. This rule is not that bad. It certainly makes things interesting. Idea number 7 is flattening lottery odds for all teams in the lotto. This kind of opens you up to the current situation that you have right now, like kind of what happened back in 2025 with the Mavs moving all the way up, the Spurs moving all the way up, and who ended up picking third this past year. Regardless, 2 teams moving up very, very highly in the draft after they had low odds, and then you see the teams like Brooklyn and New Orleans and Washington, the Jazz, they continue to stay bad. So it's just going to happen on average, like year over year. The 14th team who just missed the playoffs, having the same odds as the worst team in the NBA, it's not great. Plus, teams will just tank themselves back into those flattened lottery odds, so it won't even matter. So I guess you won't get as much hardcore tanking, but teams will certainly make sure that they are in that group of 14 to have as good a chance as anybody to get the #1 overall pick. Bad teams are still going to stay bad because the not as bad teams are going to get those top picks just as often as the bad teams are. That shouldn't be the case. So my 3 tanking solutions, I would flatten the lottery odds. I would. Now hear me out. It would just discourage the super high level of tanking like the Jazz have. And look, for a team like Brooklyn or a team like Washington or New Orleans, they weren't making the playoffs anyway. So I wouldn't mind potentially giving the top 8 teams all the same odds, and then maybe the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 15th pick, or 12th, 13th, 14th pick. I would have all those maybe a bit lower in terms of moving up in the lottery. I'd flatten at least the first 8 or so. So the teams that we know are going to be bad don't actually have to go out there and try to be bad. No protections on traded picks. Screw it. We're done. If you're trading a first-round pick, it's that team's. That pick belongs to the team you're trading it to. That would discourage teams trying their damnedest to get into the top 4, top 5, top 3, if they're going to top 3, top 4, top 5, protect that pick. Because if they don't, well, they have they have no incentive at all because they don't even have their draft pick anymore. So no protections on traded picks, and you won't see this hardcore tanking toward the top of the league. Can't raise ticket prices if you're losing. If you're losing over an elongated period of time, if you are at a certain record in a year-over-year or 2-year-over-2-year scenario, then ticket prices cannot be increased, no matter who you bring into the building, whether that's a high-priority draft pick like a Cooper Flagg coming to town or a big-name free agent. God forbid you sign one. Can't raise the ticket prices. You've been losing too much. Got to give these fans something to do and not have them break the bank to come and do it. So I don't think it's going to completely change everything, but I think it's a good start here. No protections, flattened lottery odds for at least the top 8. And then you can't raise ticket prices if you're losing. That will certainly make owners not want to tank. At the end of the day, this is all kind of, I don't know, a wasted conversation. I wouldn't say wasted, but what are we going to do about this? I don't think you can truly stop tanking in this league. Teams are always going to find the loopholes. Teams are always going to find a way to position themselves in the best scenario possible to receive the highest draft pick as possible if they are not a playoff team. And that's just what it boils down to at the end of the day. These people are smart. Like they know which ways they can kind of dodge these restrictions and rule changes and all this stuff. Whatever they do, teams will still find a way to tank. Now, in terms of the Celtics, this isn't going to affect them all too much. Right now, they have the 27th overall pick in the NBA draft as per the standings, so they're not going to have to worry about the tanking from their perspective anytime soon. So that's a great thing for the Boston Celtics. So before we wrap up, I just want to give you guys a couple of draft targets. We're talking about it, right? Like just a couple of guys who could be on the board around when Boston is going to be selecting this year. Malik Thomas, I mean, the guy's awesome. He can score from anywhere. He's actually a really, really underrated playmaker at the college level. Arkansas, Darius Acuff's getting a lot of the shine there, but Malik Thomas is a really, really damn good player as well. Isaiah Evans, sharpshooter out of Duke, moves really, really well off the ball. I think he would fit phenomenally in this Celtics team. He's also 6'6", so big enough to be a versatile defender. I like Isaiah Evans a lot. Clutch shooter as well. Alex Karaban, the ultimate connector, the ultimate, I make the right decision every single time I'm on the basketball court. 4-year starter for UConn, one of Dan Hurley's guys, hits the outside shot at a high clip. He is when the Celtics were when the Celtics drafted Anton Watson a couple of years ago, this is like a souped up version of that. I like Alex Karaban a lot. He doesn't do a lot of wrong things on the basketball court. Joshua Jefferson, just long, elite, physical wing who can go, distribute himself as well, but also the defensive versatility is really what you're looking at with Joshua Jefferson. He mans one of the top perimeter defenses in all of college basketball over there at Iowa State. And Christian Anderson, underrated playmaker as well, a little bit smaller, but he fills it up, man. He just gets buckets. I will say about Christian Anderson, he might rise up draft boards here with the injury to JT Toppin down at Texas Tech. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's going to be asked to score a lot. So we could end up seeing Christian Anderson potentially move up draft boards here as we get closer to June. But there's one man I have my faith in. It's Brad Stevens. He's going to navigate any resolution that they come to in terms of tanking and all this stuff. He's literally like Ferdinand Magellan. He can navigate anything when it comes to basketball. So I got my full faith and full allegiance to Brad Stevens here running the Boston Celtics. That will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter. We can talk more about tanking and what have you at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. YouTube.com/CelticsTV for the latest and greatest under C's all season long. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, let's go C's.